Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge, and welcome to a bit of a different angle. This is the angle that I filmed my vlog clip in, and I didn't feel like moving my ring light. So we're just going to stick with here because I'm going to try to do a quickie video. Not only because when I do recommendation videos, I try to keep them under 30 minutes. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Also because we're talking about quickie books today. We're talking about romances that are a novella, which if you don't know, the technical term of a novella is a book that is under or around 200 pages. So most all of these books, I'm pretty sure everyone I picked does hit this or else is very close to it. Also, we're going to keep it quickie because I'm losing my voice. I've been talking a lot in the last couple of days, and I'm not even sick, but my voice is going. So we're going to try to go quickly so I don't fully lose my voice. So, as I've just said, the definition of what a novella is, let's go ahead and dive in. If the book is a standalone, I will tell you. If it's not, I'll tell you more. I tried to pick books, and I mean, by try to, I mean I did pick books that maybe the series is a novella series, so like every book in it will be short, or they don't like connect with other books, so they're standalones, and that's what I tried to go for. Okay, so we're just going to go through this stack. Some of these books I've talked about more than others, so we'll just keep going. So this is an extremely dark, taboo, and romance that involves non-consensual things in it, as well as dubious consent later on. This has like forced pregnancy and like breeding kink in it too, so jumping right in. But it's Adelaide Forrest, so if you've read any of her, you shouldn't be surprised. This is a novella in the Black Heart romance like collection, which is by quite a few authors. But this one is a dad's best friend, and this is Everly. And she ends up getting herself in a sticky situation when her father's best friend, who's kind of been like an uncle to her whole life, he is into pretty heavy like BDSM and CNC. And he sets up a meeting with a girl who looks like Everly because he started craving his best friend's daughter since she's turned 18, and so he wants to have a experience with a woman who reminds him of Everly. Well, it turns out Everly ends up in the wrong place, wrong time, and he thinks that the girl he's meeting really is Everly, that she's into this, and so he kidnaps her, which is supposed to be a part of the setup, and takes her back to the club where he is going to, what he thinks, fake assault her because he thinks this is all set up. Turns out it's real, and now he's like, well, now I've got to have you because I've had you and I have to have you. So very kinky, very wrong, and it's delicious. All right, then we have one that is a lot much sweeter. We have Haven by Claire Kent. This is the first book in the Kindle series. This book also does pair with Last Light, which is a standalone. These are like apocalypse, end of the world novels where the world has been hit by an asteroid and life has been pretty much destroyed, the population decimated, and the few people who are left are in either these roving gangs of people called wolf packs where they rape, demolish, and destroy, or they're these small survivors of human survivors who are trying to make a go of it. And Haven is about Jackson and Faith, who are these two like young adults who end up looking after a bunch of other young adults in this town that they're able to have like it's a gated community. And they end up really becoming a haven. And other books in the series, which this series is still being released right now, and they're all 200 or less pages around there, we get to run into these people, and you can read each book as a standalone, but you see the other characters. So Jackson and Faith, they've been helping keep these kids alive and running this group since the beginning. And one of the things that they do is at night when everyone's asleep, Faith gets out of her bed, goes into Jackson's room, they have sex, and then she leaves. And in her mind, all they're doing is relieving stress. And so she doesn't think Jackson actually like loves her. And to Jackson, she's literally his haven. So Claire Kent writes a lot of men who seem emotionally unavailable, but really they're just like quiet and don't know how to share their feelings, and I love it. So this is a very sweet book to like start the series with or get you into her books. Then we go back to something super dark and twisty, and we have The Dare by Harley LaRue. So this is currently like a standalone, but Harley is going to be putting out other books that will connect with this one, but for now it's a standalone, and it's based on this girl, Jessica, goes to this party and plays Truth or Dare, and there is a guy there, which I can't remember his name. Is it Mason? I think it's Mason. And she loses the bet, and she basically has to like do what he wants for the rest of the party. And some of those things involve like pet play and naughty sexual things, and it's super intense. In fact, like, you can get it on Amazon, but I think I originally had to borrow it to get it from Eden Books. But yeah, so this one's really intense, really kinky and short. Then we have one of my absolute favorite. This is a full story in a novella length, and this is a big change from some of the other things I was sharing. But this is Craving Flight by Tamsin Parker. It is probably my favorite novella length book that I've ever read, ever. And this is actually the story of a woman named Zipporah, who is Jewish. She was born Jewish, but she wasn't Orthodox Jew, and she recently has become that. And so she's a single woman, and she goes to a matchmaker, and she ends up getting matched with this man named Elon, who is a butcher, and he's a widower, and they end up getting matched together. And it turns out they are both into BDSM as well. And the way that it is used sometimes in almost a religious context is amazing. And the peek into the life of a like Orthodox Jewish woman is, in my opinion, amazing. I don't know how accurate or perfect it is, because I'm not those, you know what I mean? But this was literally so powerful to me, and it's only 146 pages. So yeah, I highly recommend it. Even, like, I'm not Jewish. This was fantastic. So anyway. Then we have a couple of Ruby D here. These books are both beautiful. They're connected by the rituals that you need to do when you get married in these books, but otherwise they're not really connected. The King's Spinster Bride is this girl, Princess Hela. She rescued an 8-year-old barbarian boy when she was 16. And then, I think she was like 20 or something. And now it's 16 years later, and he's 24, and he's now the king, and he wants her. He's thought about her all of his life, and he goes to rescue her from where she's being kept in I think it's like a monastery or a nunnery or something, and he comes to make her his bride. And she thinks he's there to kill her because she was his enemy's daughter, but he remembers her, and he wants her as his bride, and he's kept himself a virgin for her. So this is like a double virgin book, and I love it. And then there is the Half-Orc's Maiden Bride, and this one also has she's also kind of a spinster in this, because she's 30. Her name is Lady Ilanth, and her father is like selling her in marriage to this half-orc, and she doesn't know that, but she shows up, and like, she is very tall and considered like fat and old. All her younger sisters are married and having children, and it's just her and her father kind of despises her, and so he's giving her in marriage for money to this half-orc. But she needn't worry, because this half-orc, he's ready to be a great husband to her, and I just love it. So very happy, very warm and fuzzy. Then we have a book that this one is technically 400, it's not 400 pages, it's technically 210 pages, and this was actually an author she was a viewer of my channel, and this is the only book that she's put out so far. I would very much like her to write another book. So Kay, if you are watching this, please tell us when your next book is coming. But this is called The Devil and I, and this is a like stalker / serial killer, but he's like vigilante at the same time. So we have Lucas, who he is a police officer, who he will go back and like kill killers who are getting away with it. Like, there's not enough evidence to get them. So when he takes his vacation twice a year, he uses that time to kidnap a criminal, viciously murder them, and that's his little bit of justice he's doing. When he starts his vacation this time around, he comes across a girl named Raina, who has slit her own wrists. So big trigger warning for suicide. And the reason she's done this is that Raina was actually raped, and her rapist got away with it. And he's recently started to taunt her again and say that he's coming back for her. And she just cannot mentally handle it. And so she tries to kill herself. But she does it in the woods. She goes out in the woods and does this. And Lucas happens to be out on a run. Like, he's going jogging in the area and he sees her. And he decides, since she was already going to kill herself, she's already left a suicide note, he's going to take her. And she's going to be his. So he kidnaps this woman, brings her to his cabin home, heals her, and tries to find out what would make this beautiful, sweet woman do that to herself. And then he's going to be her avenging angel. And it's fucking fantastic. So this one squeaks over the line. Like I said, it's 210 pages. But as short books go, I loved this. Okay, I really did. When I first read it, I gave it like 4 stars because there are some, like this being the first book, and the author who had shared with me, she has some like disabilities that got in the way like of writing this, and it was wonderful. So I highly recommend The Devil and I. Go read this, leave encouraging reviews. I really, really hope Kay Allister will write some more stories because I love it. All right, then we have 2 trilogies I'm going to share, and all the trilogy, like the total of the books is probably like 400 pages, but the books are all like under that. And so the first trilogy I want to share is the Markham Hall trilogy by Sierra Simone. This was one of my first TikToks that blew up because nobody knew like about this trilogy at all, that Sierra Simone had written historical, and that this is a this one is a Jane Eyre retelling, and it's with a very sexy Rochester, and I love it. So there's The Awakening of Ivy Leavehold. Oops, shit, I grabbed the 2 Molly ones. There's also a duet about Molly O'Flannery, but I haven't read those yet. I'm so sorry. There's The Awakening of Ivy Leavehold, The Education of Ivy Leavehold, and The Punishment of Ivy Leavehold. There we go. So if you can't tell, as with a lot of Sierra Simone, these have heavy BDSM in them, and it's fantastic. Absolutely love this trilogy. And again, there is also a duet, and I haven't read these yet. I'm saving them for a rainy day because, yeah, it's fantastic. Okay, and then the other trilogy is the Katie Robert one. This is the Bloodline Vampires, and these novellas are actually getting bound up into like the Court of the Vampire Queen or something, which I really think is awesome that Barnes & Noble is going to do a polyamorous relationship. I know they've done a few at this point, but still. But I remember when she started writing these, and I loved it. So there's Sacrifice, there's The Heir, and there's Queen. And these are about a girl named, I'll actually have to peek because I don't even remember. They don't even say her name. What's her name? Okay, I literally can't remember. But she is like, gets sent to this like cursed house where this one vampire is being like held captive, and they like the father wants him to drink from her and get her pregnant so that he can have the next like heir in line. There's reasons why, okay, there's a thing, but this ends up being a polyamorous thing because I think Malachi is the one guy's name. Yeah, Malachi. And then he has a hot buddy named Rylan, and then there's also this guy named Wolf, and they all end up getting involved, and they all end up trying to like breed her and get her pregnant because yes, it'd be great for her father to have this powerful being, but also it could be good for them as well. So yeah, this story is very interesting. I liked when she was putting it out. I also am someone who wishes that Katie Robert put more time into some of these fun little ideas she gets, because I loved this world, and I feel that it was criminally rushed through, and criminally like the ending when we get to it is like just there. But during COVID, when she was like writing these books, like she was getting the ideas and she was pumping them out so fast that I wasn't really mad about it. And I'm like, but it's so good. Like I really love this trilogy, and the covers are to die for. They're gorgeous. It's beautiful. And then the other things that Katie Robert did during like COVID was her Touch of Taboo series, which I know most people know about when they talk about novellas, but I'm going to do it anyway. I absolutely love these. There are audiobooks for most of these at this point too, so you can get a hold of them. But the most famous, of course, is Your Dad Will Do, which Jenny Norbeck narrates, and it's amazing. And yeah, this is her ex-fiance's dad. She caught her ex cheating on her. She's always thought that, the daddy was pretty hot, so she heads over to have a weekend fling with him, and there's a bit of daddy kink going on. Then there is Gifting Me to His Best Friend, and this is a polyamorous good time between a husband and wife and a best friend. It's great. My Dad's Best Friend, this one is it has to do with in business. She goes to him to ask for help with a plan, and they end up having a fling for the weekend. And then this one is Seducing My Guardian. There is nothing where she's underage. He's been her guardian for a long time, and now she's older, but they go back and reminisce about when she was into him when she was underage. I don't know. It's fun. It's cool. They're all really sexy. They're all 150 pages. Get your good times, right? All right, we have Daring the Doctor by Jessica Cain. I've only read a few Jessica Cains because I am I'm not saying picky, but I'm not always in the mood for these. But of course, Jessica Cain, she has literally hundreds of these little spicy goodnesses. This one is this guy, well, of course it's a guy. And I literally can't even remember the plot. Whatever, it's hot, go with it. The Devil's Submission by Nicola Davidson. This is another historical. Nicola Davidson writes a lot of novella length spicy ones. This one is a submissive man, and then his wife, who she finds out his secret about the sex club he's involved in, and she's kind of insulted and runs away, but she can't stop thinking about how she wants to be involved, but she's afraid how to bring that up, and she's afraid she won't be able to provide her husband with what he needs. And then she decides to go see if she can, and she dives in head first to see if she can be the dominatrix that he needs. And I love it. There's a whole series of this. This was my favorite one. I love submissive men, especially when they're supposed to be these big, fierce, strong men, and they are, but they also enjoy a little bit of this. It does things for me. Here's a fun little sweet one called The Four Leaf by Lee Jacot. Don't know how to pronounce this. This one is two best friends who engage in some primal play. And I just really loved it. That's literally all I need to tell you. There's CNC involved because primal play is usually CNC. And it was a really good time. Hypothetically Yours by Dr. Rebecca Sharp. This is a best friend's dad, but also kind of a professor student. I think he's a chemist, and she's interning, and then they end up having a fling together. The Butcher's Wife by Sam Crescent. This just came out last month. I very much enjoyed this. This was a arranged marriage between this young woman in the mafia who she was previously engaged to someone else, and she got kidnapped and tortured during that. And then when she got back, her fiance didn't want her anymore because he's a douche. And there's this older enforcer in the mafia that when he gets given a choice of who he would like to marry, he chooses this woman because he just thinks she is a goddess and deserves to be treated like one. And I love it. And then the last one I want to mention is called Instinct by Alexandria J. And this is a, what's it called? Not primordial, but a caveman romance between two cave people this time. Between two, it's prehistoric, that's the word. Between two prehistoric. So there's woman and her dog, and then there is man, who in the beginning she calls stranger. And they start meeting up, and she's very frightened of him in the beginning because she lives with a group of women who they kill any men they come across because they've only seen men do bad things. But this guy, stranger, goes about finding a way to woo her to him, and it's very cute. Really, especially after I read Roe, which I absolutely hated it. I hated it. I really enjoyed this one. So yeah. Okay. I lost steam right at the end there. Sorry. So there you go. There are, I don't even know how many that was. Those are some novellas. Use these to help you get out of reading slumps. Use these when you want to pad your reading number. I'm just joking, but I seriously do that sometimes. If I'm stressed about how much I'm reading, which is totally a me thing, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to plow through some novellas. And it just gets you in the groove when you're able to finish things. Because that happens to me sometimes where I can't like finish books. Like I just get like stuck. And so plowing through some novellas can really help. It's really great. So thank you so much for watching this video and for putting up with my speed talking today. Let me know if you're interested in any of these, and I'll talk to you next time, friends. Bye.